close to the meeting
Okay.
start time. Recommendation of approval language
Oh,
to the policy board for the Title VI.
okay. Well, is there,
It should be in the.
it's in here, yeah.
But in the
I'll
presentation.
tell you too, ask you, after the meeting with Jeff this morning,
Mhm.
when he mentioned, I hadn't heard him really say it that directly before about, oh, we're totally open to letting MPOs swap their state funds for federal funds, do the reverse swap.
Oh, he's mentioned that to me before if it's for transit.
Okay. But what about, because we do that for trails too.
Yeah, you could do that for.
That's what
I haven't actually heard him say that specifically, but he has insinuated if something isn't eligible for state funds, then he'd be willing to exchange them for federal funds to make them
perfect.
be.
Because I think we ought to make sure people know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I let when the Forest Service person contacted me and they're interested in that.
Hey there.
Hey. I did let them know that, but we should add that to
Thank you. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if you would fully cover that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Good. How are you? See you. Yeah,
feels like it's been a while. Yeah. How's the summer been?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are all the house emptying out again?
yeah. Both my daughters are gone. So,
Hey,
how are you?
okay.
Hey there.
Remember public today.
Well, no, today's your last day.
Huh?
Today's your last.
Oh,
day.
it's
So
today's last
an
day.
official member.
Okay. Okay.
Are you gonna drop off?
Huh?
Are you dropping off?
Yeah, they got somebody else, which is okay. Gotta get new blood in here,
Ken said he'd be a half hour late.
Well, okay.
Were you all moving out to the new city?
No.
No, we'll stay here.
Yeah, we stay downtown.
Yeah,
So
good.
where we may end up moving somewhere downtown, but
Oh,
we're not going out there. Kind of happy about
Yeah, I'm definitely happy about that. Don't live that far. I just put my bike down to work.
it's a long ways out there.
Yeah, no. I think anyway, I haven't met.
I'm Michelle Rhodes and I'm with Bend MPO Schools representing for. Yeah.
Okay. I'm Kelly with them.
It's great to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you. Yes.
Okay.
So with Dave and Michelle both here, we have 6. So we have
Oh, dude, okay.
to start if you would like to.
All right. All right, everyone. I'm Tyler Deakey with the Bend MPO, and I will call this meeting of the Technical Advisory Committee to order. Start out with introductions.
Yeah, I'm David Green with the County Bike and Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
Michelle Road, Bend MPO Schools.
Susanna Jolber, City Bend.
Greg Brand is citizen.
Andrea Napoli, Senior Planner with Bend MPO. Kelly Kennedy, Bend MPO staff.
My name is Megan Tuck. I'm with COIC and just presenting today.
Tarek Wrong, Senior Transportation Planner with Deschutes County.
And online, I see Quinn
Quinn Keever, Bend Park and Recreation District.
and Angie Brewer.
Hey everyone, Angie Brewer, Central Oregon Regional Representative for DLCD.
And Brian Potwin.
Hello, everyone. Brian Potwin, Community Options Executive Director.
Is that everyone?
James just joined as well.
Okay. And James Throphy. Maybe
It's probably still.
just getting logged in, so.
Oh, there it is.
All right, good morning, James.
Good morning. Having some technical on my side. Sorry.
Nope, no problem. Thank you. Yeah, that's one of today is Greg's last official meeting as a last meeting as an official TAC member. I just want to thank him for several years of service and all that you've done. And I know you'll probably still be showing up
That will be.
past this. So anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Greg.
For those online, so the meeting is being recorded. Everyone online is please keep your mute button on, raise your hand if you have any questions, and with that, we can move on. I don't think we have anyone from the public here today. Let's skip that. And first action item is just review and approval of our July 1, 2025 TAC meeting summary. Just looking for a motion in a second.
I'll move approval of the July 1st, 2025 TAC draft meeting summary as presented.
And second,
Any comments? All in favor? Thank you. All right, so first up, we have Megan Tuck from COIC to talk about some safety implementation outreach work that COIC is doing. And Megan, do you want to share your screen or do you want me to stay?
You could do it over the
Okay.
Kirby.
Perfect.
Well, great. Thank you all for having me here today. My name is Megan Tuck. I'm a program coordinator with COIC, Central Oregon Intergovernmental Council. I work on a variety of projects within our Community and Economic Development Department, but I also help work on this communications, education, outreach as it relates to transportation safety project. So we can go to the next slide. So for a bit of background, the Central Oregon Safe Travel Central Oregon Safe Travel, also known as COST program, was previously stewarded by the Bend MPO for many years. But this most previous grant year, so starting in October of 2024, COIC took on the project in order to create more of a regional scale scope and coordination of all the traffic safety efforts that are going on in the region. And a lot of this comes from all three of the counties in Central Oregon. We're embarking on transportation safety action planning processes. So there was a lot going on in this arena and a need for some greater regional communication. And specifically in our region, there was a bit of a gap in local communication and engagement programs that encourage safe driving behavior and that are really tailored to the needs of Central Oregonians. And so that's what our project is focused on. A lot of folks sometimes see traffic safety with, there's three legs of the stool. There's the law enforcement strategies, there's engineering and construction strategies, but also education and outreach strategies that help encourage safe driving behavior. And so that's the leg of the stool that we've taken on through this project. And the overall goal is to reduce the number of fatal and serious crashes occurring on our transportation systems, and by coordinating that regionally. Now to the next slide. So the way that we've designed this program, one of the first parts is that we've got together an advisory team. And so this advisory team is made up of stakeholders and transportation safety practitioners from across our region. We've got great representation from folks at Deschutes, Jefferson, and Crook counties through their public works or administration, as well as Bend MPO and the work you all are doing. In addition to law enforcement from different police and sheriff's departments, but as well as Oregon State Police has been involved with that too. Public health agencies for the work that they do, doing a lot of different, behavior change messaging. They've been really great partners in this, as well as various community organizations that work in prevention and safety and ODOT. And I maybe forgot to mention, but this is an ODOT funded project, technically coming from the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. I believe that's the acronym also known as NHTSA. Federal funding being passed through to the state that ODOT administers. So that's where this funding comes from. And this advisory team of the practitioners, they largely provide direction, give us feedback, and their professional advice on this project. This project is a little different from most of the projects I worked on, being in transportation safety. And so having this guidance from folks who work in this arena in our, have deep professional experience with this has been really great. And in addition to that, they help us ensure alignment with other regional safety efforts that are going on in the region, which has been great. In addition to the advisory team, I didn't list it on the slide here, but we work closely with the COAC, the Central Oregon Area Commission on Transportation, that's facilitated through ODOT. Their executive council also acts as our safety committee. And so their role is to provide some, guidance and a little bit of oversight of the project from local elected officials standpoint. And so, yeah, just to include that context as well. Go to the next slide. So this is, I want to provide an update on some of the engagement and outreach activities that we've done since this grant started last October. We've been doing quite a bit of planning with our advisory team, as well as went through a process to contract a firm. Most recently, we wrapped up a partnership with the University of Oregon and their Sustainable City Year program, which partners local governments and different organizations with student groups to complete projects on kind of a term, like a 10-week term scope basis. And so that was really great that we were able to connect with them and a team of PR students this summer. They worked with us specifically to develop a mascot and logo design contest that's youth focused, or young driver focused, 18 to 20, I think was our range that we focused on. And it was really great. They put together a report and recommendations for us. They came up with ideas to provide different stickers or air fresheners or things that you could hand out to students, as well as provided us with a campaign plan for how we should collect responses and just market this type of messaging to young people. So that was great. And so the main portion of this project is we decided to, instead of jumping right into implementing a lot of our marketing and communications, like strategies directly to the public, we wanted to do some deeper research and planning into what's needed in Central Oregon. And so we were able to contract with a firm. Their name is Behavioral Insights Team, also known as BIT. And they're out of New York, which was great that they found our RFP and applied. They do super good work in research and behavioral change, messaging, as well as a variety of other things. But we're working with them to develop a communications and outreach plan, as well as do research. And so the way that we've organized this is that they came into town last week and did 6 focus groups. We were able to get coverage in all 3 counties, which was great. We had 3 sessions in Madras, with one of them being in Spanish, 2 in Bend, and 1 in Prineville. And so we're still waiting. They're, analyzing all the responses from folks, and we're hopefully going to be getting a report from them soon on that. They're also doing some crash data analysis regionally, which the, Bend MPO, Deschutes County, and Jefferson County will be doing through their transportation safety action plans. And so they're collecting everything that's been found already through those processes. But then, for example, Crook County has just started their transportation safety action plan process. And so they don't have that data available yet. So they're doing some preliminary research to fill those gaps. And so with all this information that they collect, they're going to develop a slate of strategies as well as target population that will give us the highest potential for impact and behavior change in terms of safe driving. So I think we're going to have some really great results from this plan, and excited to hopefully work with them again in the future to implement this next year. And then, what the PR cost created for us will also be integrated into the plan and implementation strategies as well. And then there on the bottom is just an example of a bus wrap graphic that we put together in partnership with Cascade East Transit. We used funding from the grant to pay for that advertising space. And this was something that we put together with the folks at CET work with to do their bus wrap designs, but also from the Ad Council, which is great because those are free resources. Thought the yellow would be eye-catching too. All right. So that's just kind of a quick update of where our programs are at in terms of next steps. We're working on wrapping up this grant year. It does end September 30th, and preparing for our next grant year. We submitted our application and I believe we've been awarded, which is great. We'll be implementing the regional communications and engagement plan and launching our regional safety campaign. There also will likely be some evaluation and monitoring of how those campaigns are going. And then we plan on finalizing the regional plan with BIT in October. We're hoping to get it done end of September, but just some delays. We're about a month behind schedule, which is all right. We're going to continue to convene our advisory team throughout next year, hopefully bringing in more local partners from across the 3 counties, and continuing to just ensure regional consistency and alignment of our efforts. And we're going to be working with these partners very closely to implement this campaign as well, to make sure, you know, there's regional buy-in and that folks are on the same page and that we can achieve that alignment across the region. We're also going to be fundraising for next year for our matching funds. We previously received matching funds from Bend MPO, City of Bend, and Central Oregon Health Council, and we're very thankful for their support. They've all been great partners on this project. And yeah, that's where we're at. It's been going really good, and just been really impressed with the support that we've had from our advisory team and other local partners. It seems like this is really a gap in the region that folks who work in this arena are excited to see, you know, a large campaign be implemented. So yeah, I'm open to any questions or comments and feedback. And
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there does CYC on their website, is there a web page dedicated to this?
we have not been able to update the webpage. I believe what's on there is past stuff from when we worked with Bend MPO, so I'm going to do some updating.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I also had a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, the transportation bill was approved, I believe. So is that part of the supply grant for ODOT from 2025 to 26?
Yeah, so technically ODOT administers these funds, but they're from the federal government.
Right.
So all that funding is coming from the federal government, and we haven't heard any word that funding is going away. It seems pretty secure. And so that program, I believe it's it's our transportation safety office through ODOT that administers it. And it's separate from the funding package that just passed.
Okay, how much is that grant? Do you know?
Oh gosh, I'd have to look at it again. I want to say it's around 190,000 potentially total
Okay.
Just for this 3-county area?
for 1 year.
I know the Warm Springs tribes also, I don't know what their status is. They got funding as well to develop their first safety action plan. Has there been any coordination with the tribes?
It's a great question. Early on last year, I was able to connect with, I can't remember her title, but her name was Nancy. And yes, she had this on her mind. They haven't been able to do anything with the funding yet. They knew they needed to spend it. She was trying to, because we wanted representation from Confederate Tribes of Warm Springs on the advisory team. And she referenced somebody else because I think she had limited capacity. And I wasn't able to connect with the person that she referenced to join our advisory team. But that was one thing that we also brainstormed of including in this, just as our role as a technical assistance provider in the region, possibly providing some technical assistance as it relates to these plans if local governments needed them. So I would like to follow up with her to see if they need, because we could totally offer our assistance with that. But
Do you have representation from any of the school districts?
yes, we do. That wasn't listed. But we do have somebody from Bend Metropolitan School Districts. I believe it's their like communications director.
Is that Scott?
No, it's a woman.
Becca?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Becca. There's only 2 people in communication. Yes, so really great question. Thank you. Because I was going to ask also along those lines, because this is a really important project, and safe transportation safety for everybody is really, really important. But I will certainly put in a plug for the importance of the safe driving around the school zones and the parks, anything where there are going to be children present, any places where there are going to be children present, and certainly want to plug for any active transportation modes, right?
Yes.
Bike, pedestrian, rolling of any kind, right? I do want to do a shout out to Deschutes County. They've been really great partners with us in doing audits of our school zones for the transportation safety action plans. And I know that I've been present for most of them, and we gave a lot of really good input to the team from the roads department. So we want to certainly reach out to them. And I think Kittleson and Associates was their consultant working on that. So again, I just put a plug in for anything related to youth, areas where youth will be present. We at Bend Metropolitan Schools, we have just we're about ready to adopt our Safe Routes to School implementation plan, and part of those there is an action plan involved in that, and Andrea and David have both been part of that process. I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but we also wanted to do some research about youth drivers at some point. And so I've already reached out to the health department because there's actually oversight for school health programs that the health department actually partners. It's a Healthy Schools partnership with Deschutes County. So it's really important to connect into that network as well. But it sounds like you've already been talking with the health department, but just again, another plug for that. And then we have a lot of action plan items related to safety in the school zones, and even potentially doing a pilot for close, like a safe streets around one of our schools. So I would love to connect with you and get you a copy of our implementation plan when it's finalized. We're like in the final draft of it right now. Because it would really, I think, inform your process, especially around with some of our partners and with our school zones.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you for that. Please reach out and we'll get connected on that. Seems like you guys are doing great work. So, we don't want to reinvent the wheel, and, I guess, align with whatever partners are doing and help bolster those efforts too, with the capacity we have. And yeah, one other thing love to connect with Bend Metropolitan School Districts, especially around this, our mascot local campaign and some of the youth focused strategies that we'll be implementing. We'll likely be connecting to all the school districts to help disseminate that information and collect responses. And so, yeah, thank you.
And did I understand correctly that your focus is primarily on getting information out to the community to affect driver behavior?
Yeah, so I guess we could describe it as messaging, education, and outreach that impacts behavior change. So positive behavior change towards safe driving behavior. Setting, trying to normalize safe driving behavior, whatever those strategies may be. And the firm that we're working with, behavioral insights team is really great when it comes to that stuff. So we're happy to have them on board.
No connection to encouraging changes in physical design of streets to affect driving behavior?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely be open to the conversation to learn more about how that could connect. But yeah, for our scope right now, it seems more targeted on changing individual and community behavior around driving. But I'd be happy to talk more to see if there's alignment there, something we could collaborate on.
But Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, this grant is specific to behavior. It can't actually be used for
There can be some
capital.
discussion of that, but I think it's really focused on behavior.
Yeah.
Education and
Education.
Outreach, that type of thing. And I know locally, David, I think, Susanna, correct me if I'm wrong, but the city is going to be reviewing its street design standards sometime in the next fiscal year, this fiscal year.
Yeah, Janet Ruby is actually starting in on that process, and I think the goal is to get some sort of modified street design standards to the council in May or something like that. So
Yeah,
yes.
and then they're going to immediately start on a public engagement process to do a larger change to the street standards as well. So it's a two-phase process.
Yeah.
See, I'm also, my question too is on parochial schools. Are they included in some of the discussions?
That's a good question. I think most of our, we were kind of brainstorming our outreach with schools, mainly focusing just on the public school districts. But I'd totally be open to connecting with private schools as well. Just not sure what the best, if you have any recommendations for those channels or how best to connect with them.
And I was there, those are probably more challenging as well.
Yeah, I know.
Sense of, their catchment areas, it's the entire city plus,
I know.
in some situations, you have a tremendous amount of driving to
Yeah.
not only parochial schools,
Yeah.
but some of the,
One was
some of the,
transportation, like car transportation, and
Yeah.
stuff like that for those locations.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
right. Any other questions or any questions from anyone online? All right, great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Megan. So up next is Andrea to talk about the update to our Title VI plan.
Yeah, you can go ahead and go to the next slide, Tyler.
Okay.
So over the past couple months, we've been updating our Title VI plan, and Title VI being Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, referring to non-discrimination. It's something that we need to do, at least look at our plan to see if it needs an update every 3 years. So the last major update was in 2019. In 2022, we took a look to see if anything needed changes, really didn't. And so now this year, especially with some of the changes at the federal level, have made some pretty significant changes to the plan. This is because we do receive federal dollars. This is something that's federally required. So over the course of the presentation, I'll hit on, the actual Title VI definition. Again, the major changes to our plan, our goals in the plan. We've updated and revised some of our population mapping as compared to what we had in the past. And then hit on some of our activities and strategies to support this plan, and then also next steps. So the definition, Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, so no person on the grounds of race, color, or national origin be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So those are the protected populations, race, color, national origin. And then, essentially our Title VI plan is our commitment against discriminating on those specific protected populations. Next slide. So here's, the recent changes that have impacted our plan. And that's because of the executive order on environmental justice, and then also the US DOT orders on environmental justice have been rescinded. And that's, having to do with looking at programs, activities, policies that might, have a disproportionately high and negative impact specifically to minority or persons of color and low-income populations without mitigation. So ODOT, Office of Civil Rights, I've been working closely with them on updating our plan, and essentially we have deleted any references to environmental justice and simply just kept the Title VI plan as just only the protected populations that Title VI actually covers, and not including low income or looking at things that might disproportionately impact them, low income and minority populations. So for example, here's some of the edits that we made. So we have our Title VI plan goals, where you can see we've deleted out, the terms environmental justice populations or those specific low income minorities, specifically where it relates to where it's related to environmental justice. So just to go over, our goals: make transportation decisions that strive to meet the needs of all people, providing the community with opportunities to learn about transportation, a goal around improving our data collection, monitoring, and analysis tools. And then again, that avoiding disproportionately high and adverse impacts specific to Title VI populations. and not necessarily environmental justice. So our mapping changes. So we follow FHW, or we're now following FHWA's Title VI program. And that's the mapping that's included in the plan. So in the plan, we now have, it's simply non-white and Hispanic populations mapped, limited English proficiency populations, senior populations, and persons with disabilities. So senior population and persons with disabilities is included in FHWA's Title VI program because those fall under other laws around discrimination. So we do collect that data and map those populations in our plan. However, we do have our own demographic mapping tool on our website where we collect data and map a number of different demographics that we use for the same purposes. So looking at our projects that we might fund and potential impacts and benefits to those populations resulting of those projects. And then also we use it for kind of looking at areas for targeted outreach. Yeah, that's fine. So some examples of our current efforts around activities and strategies to support Title VI that we include in our plan. So of course, providing accessibility assistance, again, maintaining that demographic profile of the MPO area, making the Title VI complaint process available to the public. We do have an annual Title VI annual report that we submit to ODOT every year that goes over any efforts that we do over the course of that year related to Title VI, so whether that's trainings or whether that's specific targeted public outreach, a number of different things. That's fine. So here's kind of our next steps. So we have a 21-day public comment period currently underway. The draft plan, we've sent that to our federal partners, FHWA and FTA. Also, again, to ODOT for their kind of final look at it. Sent out to a couple of the email lists, public email lists that we have. And then the policy board will consider adoption at their October meeting. And with that, if there's any questions, I apologize, I should have put a slide in here we are looking for a recommendation to the tax recommendation of the policy board as far as adoption of the plan. The language is in the agenda. But any questions about the plan update? Yeah.
I was just wondering on the mapping component, it's still okay for the MPO to have those other categories, the other demographic categories in their mapping.
Yeah, so
it's just in the plan.
We just don't, we're just not including it in the plan where we had in the past. But we still have it available on our web, and we'd use it for other things. Yeah.
Well, I would imagine, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, federal funds are probably used for the official, those four, and then are there any funds that maintain the other categories? I mean, how is data collected and reported and all that? I just want to, ensure that the Bend MPO feels like it can move forward in compliant ways. How can I say it? Just compliant ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, to be honest, we're still doing things the way we've done them, but we're deleting out specific words.
Yeah.
So they don't go against the federal.
Yeah.
I get you.
Because that other data is really important for public agency planning purposes.
Yeah.
We're grateful for it. We're grateful for it.
Yeah, and it's still all available. We're just not including it in this specific plan.
Yeah.
So Andrea, those are the changes to be in compliance with the new federal direction. Are those the only changes that have been made to the plan?
Correct. So changing the mapping that's included and deleting out any references to environmental justice. And that's really the top two things, maybe some minor edits in the plan, but that's really it.
You're asking for a motion?
Yeah, correct. Or any other, oh yeah, James.
So it sounds like we've been completely compliant, correct, under the old, and we'd be compliant under the new guidelines?
Right, correct. I mean, we should be, yes.
So, I guess this was just a bureaucratic exercise for you. How many hours, staff hours, do you think you guys have spent, conducting these anti-DEI changes?
You know, honestly, I would have to go back to like looking at timesheets, but I mean, it has taken, you know, a significant amount of time, and then working with ODOT, bringing the work to our committees, our board. He's probably 20 more, 20 plus hours.
Okay. And I'm assuming you are not a minimum wage employee, correct?
That's correct.
All righty. I just want to keep all these numbers in my head as we move forward in the world we are trafficking. So, okay, thank you.
Thanks for your interest, James. Any other questions before asking for a motion? Anyone interested in making a motion for recommend? And I apologize, I didn't put it on the slide.
Oh, let me pull it up here.
Okay.
Yeah, I move to recommend approval of the MPO policy board to the draft Title VI plan as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need not? Okay, thank you.
The presentation. Yeah. So I just going to give a quick update on our safety action plan, that status. So it's a little bit of background on that process. We completed Bend's first transportation safety action plan back in 2019. We applied for and secured federal Safe Streets and Roads for All funding to update the safety action plan. We actually secured the funds in 2023, I believe, and we've been it's been a very long process for us to access those funds. We're right now currently negotiating a scope of work, budget, and contract with the consultant team. We're expecting that update to begin in late September and conclude in spring of 2027. So kind of a 16 to 18 month time frame. The role of the TAC, we're going to be forming what we call a project advisory committee. And that will include all TAC members plus other folks. We're going to be inviting police, fire, and ambulance folks from the district attorney's office and others within the region, and trying to have a well-rounded advisory committee to see that to oversee that process. And right now we're planning on holding 3 of those PAC meetings, and the timing of those is to be determined. And we don't know if we'll hold them at the same time as our normal TAC meetings are held, or if they'll be special meetings. But that is the status of our TSAP right now. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay, I got a question.
Yeah.
Information from the ODOT on the safety law I thought, I was looking at the information, right, was the last year was like 2016.
In terms of,
Huh? In terms of their data that they're collecting. And so with what my question is it go be more, I mean, if you look at that, because I was looking at Kittleson that was showing.
Yeah.
And that it takes so long for you to get information from ODOT.
yeah, we will have, ODOT just released, there's always a lag between when the data is collected and when they have to go through and clean all of the data and post it. The 2023 data was just recently posted. So we will be looking at that. I think 2018 to 2023 will be the 5 years worth of data that we have. We'll also be able, there is preliminary data for 24 and 25 available, and we'll try and pull that in as best we can. But when we really look at doing that kind of the really detailed data analysis, we'll be looking at 2018 to 2023 timeframe.
The problem you got is if you start looking at that 5 year, okay, that's good. Because I was going quite about being eight years past the fact.
Yeah.
Because that's the data that was shown.
Yeah, and I think, critically for 2024 and 2025, we do have preliminary fatal crash data. And so we'll be able to pull the fatal crash data into that analysis.
If you're 2-3% off, that's one thing. If you're 20% off, that's another thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, thanks.
Quinn?
Good morning. I was just curious, it says the PAC will include PAC members. Is that just a few TAC members, or does the PAC roll up all of the TAC?
All of the TAC.
Okay. Thank you.
James?
How are you negotiating the 2+ year COVID blip in regard to compiling this data?
In terms of, I guess.
Well, you use this data to determine funding and project allocation and things, but it seems like a large portion of this 2019 to 2023, the people of Oregon were inside their home. I'm just, how am I wrong in your assessment of the data?
Well, I think, yeah, what we'll see, and I don't know if we'll see it locally within our data, but, statewide and nationally, yeah, traffic volumes were down significantly at the beginning of when COVID first hit, but traffic fatalities grew extensively during that time frame. And so even though traffic volumes were down, the number of fatal and serious injury crashes has increased significantly during that time frame. So we'll see, volumes were down, crashes were up. Whether that'll play out, whether we'll see that in our data, I don't know. But I know at least statewide and nationally, though, that's how things played out. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It's like a trailer for a movie. I want to know more. What's the preliminary? I mean, were people just why were crashes significantly higher if less people were using the roads, or what's the estimate?
Speeds.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was really related to speed. It was a huge issue.
Less congestion, people can drive.
Aggressive driving, impaired driving is up significantly at the state level and nationally. Distracted driving, aggressive driving. If you're interested, James, ODOT's updating their safety action plan right now, and if I can send you, they have a 1-page summary of their crash data, and it's compared to their existing TSAP to this new TSAP. Crashes increased across every measurable category that they're looking at in the statewide plan. And those increases, the lowest was about 19%, and some of them were up like 200 to 300%.
Oh, wow.
So I mean,
huge, I would definitely be
increases.
interested in that. I mean, definitely interested. I mean, from a sarcastic standpoint, it almost sounds like if we want to make safer streets, we should make them more congested.
Within cities, that's definitely true. I mean, I think you tend to have, because it brings speeds down.
Yeah.
Traffic calming.
Yeah.
I mean, you may still have crashes, but the impacts are less because they're at lower speeds typically.
Thank you.
Also, because your 50s, however many roundabouts we got, that should reduce how many crashes we have. Hopefully. And hopefully that'll show.
Quinn, to provide a little more info on your question. So right now, what we're looking at doing is having the PAC meetings the same as the TAC meeting. So the TAC would be included.
Okay,
So the TAC wouldn't be asked, TAC members wouldn't necessarily be asked to join another meeting. It would be within our existing TAC meetings.
okay, so we just squeeze in a little bit of time, not a little, but some time of the PAC meetings into our TAC meetings.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion.
Tyler, would you mind sending that summary to the whole group?
Yeah, I can do that. And I think when we get to the roundtable part of the meeting, if I have time, I'll try and find, because I pulled that summary out specifically for one of our board members and emailed it to him recently. So if I can find it, I'll pull that up during the roundtable portion of the meeting. Any other questions on our safety action plan update?
Yeah, the question I have is, how does that relate to the work COIC is doing? I mean, because this is a separate project and study, and then COIC just started this one county for the tri-county area. How will they share data and interact? Yours is more education. This one's more.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that, I'll let Megan jump in, but I think, hopefully each of this, so yeah, Jefferson County, Crook County, Shutes County, us, and then eventually the Warm Springs tribes, when they go through that crash data and identify, well, aggressive driving has increased in crashes involving aggressive driving or intoxicated driving have increased significantly, then that hopefully would feed into that process. I mean, they've got the communications plan and those things are going to show up anyway. But if we see a big increase in intoxicated driving related crashes, that may shift the focus of outreach, in future incoming years.
Yeah, I would see the work that we're doing, even though we do have a planning element right now, the TSAPs are doing that initial planning, and then we're doing the implementation of those education, communications, and outreach strategies that come from those.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was our first TSAP that the MPO did that made what she's working on, the program that she's working on.
Okay.
So that's the relationship.
I would say too, I mean, unrelated to that, but I mean, as part of our safety action plan, we're going to, and I think Shutes County is doing this as well, but our plan, when we identify our top crash, either locations or, roadway corridors, we're going to drill down and have the consultant team give us some preliminary recommendations on how to mitigate crashes at some of our really high crash locations. And then that will hopefully then feed into the city's capital improvement program for future safety projects. So there's going to be this kind of that twofold. How do we deal with things on the physical construction side of things, and how do we work on the behavioral side of things?
Thank you.
Who has to do a traffic safety action plan? Counties and metropolitan areas that have an MPO? Anybody else?
Well,
They're not required.
Yeah, they're not required.
Okay.
I think given the increase, I mean, if you look back far enough, you go back a decade or more, traffic crashes, fatalities had been on a long-term decrease, and it started climbing again in 2015, 2016, something like that. And I think as we started to see that increase, everybody said, hey, city's transportation plan, our MPO plan, we cover safety, but it's not at a really great, we don't have the money to dig into the detail. So then this idea of doing safety specific plans really started to emerge nationally. And under the current federal transportation legislation, there's a lot of money available for safety action planning. And so the feds have pushed out in tens of millions of dollars all over the country to develop safety action plans. And then I think the hope is when in the next federal transportation bill, there will be money for implementation activities. And so utilize the safety action plan then to go after, state and federal grant monies to implement some of our high priority projects.
Okay.
I think some of those grant programs do require an agency to have one of the TSAPs in place.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes them eligible to apply for some of this grant funding.
And I also think that Oregon safety thing, I think if I read it right, said, was saying they're going for 0 fatalities.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Isn't that correct, Tyler? I think.
yeah, I mean, most cities and counties and states have a goal of moving towards zero
Yeah.
fatalities and serious injuries. It's just the timeline to do that.
Yeah.
Like the existing Oregon Safety Action Plan had a goal of 0 fatalities by 2035. Well, the trend has gone up every year since that plan was updated. And so right now, as part of that update, there's a big debate of, do they stick with 2035? Do they push it out? What does that look like? And what's aspirational versus reality is the big discussion at the state level.
And how do TSAPs that are overlapping, like the Deschutes County and the Bend MPO interact? Does the county just exclude the MPO area, or do they just work on different scales?
Just different scales. The county, with the Deschutes County Safety Action Plan, they're covering everything outside of the city of Bend's urban growth boundary.
Right.
And so they're picking up part of the MPO boundary. And so we will hopefully, I mean, we're going to pull in some of the data that they're developing that plan into this plan.
Okay.
And then we will focus just on the city of Bend's urban growth boundary.
But the county process is ahead of the MPO process. Is that true?
I think maybe just a little bit. It's ahead of certainly the COIC part, but I think those pieces talk to each other. I think you guys are speaking to Blaine probably, right?
Yeah, they have their own kind of like what Tyler's been putting together too, advisory committee for their project that I attended a meeting.
Yeah, the counties, they got through their process a little bit faster and they're moving pretty quickly. And I think in talking to the county road department director, their goal is to get through their process, have enough information available and have the plan, hopefully have the plan adopted in time to be able to apply when the next federal grant cycle opens, which I think is spring of 26 is the anticipated time frame. So I think that, the county's wanting to be able to try and apply for funding in the next federal grant cycle.
And how are you reporting? I know you got City of Bend, but you also have the unincorporated areas that's a part of MPO. How do you incorporate that with your reporting?
Well, so Deschutes River Woods and Tumalo are both being covered under the county safety action plan. And so we'll be able to pull that data from the county safety action plan into our action plan.
Okay.
And then just our project timeline is kind of shooting for a October, maybe early November adoption. So like Tyler said, by next spring, we'll be eligible to apply for that, the next federal cycle. But I know we're just kind of waiting to hear for final concepts from the consultant right now. So that'll dictate when that adoption is, but it should be pretty soon, the next few months.
Thanks.
I'm just trying to follow up with some of the clarifications that others had. So there is or there isn't going to be overlap of data between the 3 different agencies, city, MPO, county.
No, we will not. Our plan, we're not going to be redoing, or reanalyzing some of the data that's already being collected and analyzed as part of the county safety action plan.
Will there be a sort of like a compilation of data, and who's going to be who would be responsible for putting that together? And if there isn't going to be, could the MPO do that?
Yeah, that's a great question, James. I know we've talked about what that might look like going forward. There's no definitive plan in place yet, but I think, the goal would be that all that data, at least the summary data, would be compiled somewhere, and then updated annually or at least every other year type of, have that type of process happen.
I'm just, thinking out loud, I don't want a continual ongoing urban rural divide when it comes to transportation focuses. I think they need to, definitely work together more. And for the person who doesn't, look at this stuff every day, there truly needs to be like a 40,000 foot view of things that people can look at, because otherwise people are going to pick and choose statistics when they decide to support or trash a project. Just food for thought going forward.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Let's forward them. Next up is Andrea.
You can go to the next slide.
Okay.
So this is really just a brief reminder. So our SHF program call for project schedule. So our project application window is open. It closes on the 23rd of this month. And for those that are planning to submit a project application, please mark time on your calendar for the October TAC meeting and also for the November policy board meeting on November 21st. We're asking that applicants give a 5-minute presentation overview of their project and then 5 minutes for questions. And so how the schedule will work is once we get the applications to the MPO, the applicants will present their projects again at the October meeting, at the October TAC meeting, at the October policy board meeting. We're going to give our policy board just a brief overview of the project applications that we've received. At the November 4th TAC meeting, the TAC will be working on evaluating applications and then hopefully get to the point of making a funding recommendation to the policy board of which projects they would recommend for funding. And then again, November 21st, the policy board meeting, applicants will present their projects. And we're expecting the board to make funding awards at that time, but we're reserving some time on their agenda in December if they need some extra time. Any questions on the schedule overview? It's really just a reminder. Okay, that was it for that one.
All right, so we have a little bit of time for just a roundtable discussion. Andrea, can you kind of coordinate this while I search for the statewide safety data?
Sure.
I'll stop sharing for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we want to around the table, we could go. Do you have anything that you wanted to like really update?
Probably our biggest thing that's applicable is we're interested in doing sort of a ribbon cutting, a delayed ribbon cutting for the Tumalo underpass. As sort of a celebration and awareness of that new facility, because a lot of people on bikes doing those state bike routes don't know about the tunnel and are still riding through the roundabout. So we're just starting to consider how we could pull that together.
Gotcha. Thanks. Michelle?
Sure. Well, many of the people in this meeting are wonderful coalition members for our Safe Routes to School Coalition for Bend MPO schools. So speaking for Safe Routes to School initially, so thank you for all the efforts that everybody has been contributing already to developing our draft plan. And as I mentioned, it'll be ready for public sharing or wider public sharing shortly. We also, back to school is tomorrow. So please, I'll put a plug in for slowing down in the school zones, please, because just a reminder, the children will be present starting again tomorrow. And yeah, Bend MPO Schools is ready for back to school. The team's been working all summer long to be ready. The school bus drivers were in training today and running their routes. So there actually are school buses out in the community right now because they're doing their practice routes, all that. So that would be the one thing. It's just slow the speeds down. I'm again preaching to the choir here. We already know that, but we'll have our stop signs out with our buses and everything. So please, yeah, be aware. And we look forward to participating in any of the transportation and safety action plans to help our school zones and partnerships around the community.
Susanna, anything to share with the city related for the TAC?
Yeah, let's see. Growth plan related, the city last updated their comp plan and urban crossed boundary in 2016, and we're getting ready to embark on a update that will be multi-year. So we've been working on a draft request for proposals that'll hopefully go to procurement in the next couple months. And so that's going to be a big process, and I'm sure I'll come to the TAC with updates and stuff along the way. As part of that, we'll be doing a transportation system plan update to comply with all the new rules from the climate friendly equitable communities rules, and goal 12 from the state. So that's going to be a big process. So just stay tuned on that. And then Janet Ruby wanted to pass along that Derek Hoffbauer from COIC has now joined the city and is going to be the mobility programs manager. And he just started last week or this week. So yeah, we'll be seeing him more on city things. And he'll be managing actually the transportation options and some of the safety programs that came out of the last transportation system plan through the city's revenue generated by the transportation utility fee.
Any county updates, Tara?
I mean, we kind of just said earlier, the anticipated adoption of the TSAP for the county is going to be later in this fall, and that interfaces a little bit with some of our like the Stevens Tract transportation impact analysis we've been working with the developer on, and a little bit just on, it's basically the Ward Road Bear Creek roundabout, or what I anticipate would be a roundabout, but just like big long-term improvements for that intersection. It's a really high priority intersection that had no preliminary concepts for it. And so that was one of the things one of the 5 main priority areas that had no types of designs that we're really interested in seeing concepts from the consultant for. That'll likely not be something that's directly referenced in the developer's master planning effort right now, just because of their schedule. But they'll reference, what we need in the TSAP and what we eventually mention in the TSAP. Yeah, other than that, there's a lot of like regional, the High Desert Museum and other plan amendment zone change and type things, current planning and sort of long range planning efforts are ongoing, but we're sort of nearing a little bit of a quieter point in the year, which is typical for the fall, but there has been a lot still. And like the proximate to City of Sisters plan amendment zone change that was called, I think, Mackenzie Meadows was the name of that applicant. That one I think is nearing sort of a final phase, but there was a lot of really interesting regional current planning stuff that's been going through our office. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on the TSAP, and I'd be interested to see that summary data that you're looking for, Tyler.
Thanks. Quinn, any updates from BPRD?
None for the good of the order, thank you.
Okay, Neil? Do you have anything to share?
No, I'm just coming back from sabbatical, so just getting connected back into everything, but I think we're good on my end.
Okay, thanks. Ken, ODOT?
Hi, everybody. We're keeping our fingers crossed for our transportation bill today. So that's the House voted on that over the weekend, and it's supposed to go to the Senate on Wednesday for a final vote. I just saw a couple of amendments that came through for some language, but we're remaining optimistic as far as planning projects are concerned. So I guess for those of you that are on the advisory committee for the Revere Avenue rail crossing study, we just wrapped up a draft concept and are doing some internal reviews from that. Expect to see something from me for another advisory committee for that project, probably later September, early October. The US 20 facility plan is in its final stages as well, so it's developing that draft plan. And then we're just getting started with our new 25-27 biennium. We have a lot of projects that we're actually starting first down in the Klamath County area, but then we'll probably get started on some of the Bend planning projects in the second part of the biennium, so after July 2026. Here for any questions.
Nope, doesn't
Okay,
look like any.
thank you.
Thanks, Ken. Brian?
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all. And we appreciate, Michelle, all the work you're doing, specifically with Bend Lapine Schools, Safe Routes. It's so heartening to have somebody else at the table talking about safe routes to school. It's just the best thing ever. So 2 thumbs up. Yeah, that's really great. We've got a lot going on with commute options. I'll try to be brief, but there's tons happening. And I also had Andrew, I had a follow-up question about the service highway funds as well at the end of this. So let's see, some big things happening with us. We wrapped up our e-bike rebate program in mid-August, and that was a partnership with Pacific Power Foundation and the city of Bend. We did 70 rebates over about a month span. We had about 600 applications, which was fantastic to have such a large number of people want to be involved in the program. And part of that too, our previous iteration of this, we developed an e-bike safety online course. Since then, we've updated it, and it's kind of spread around the state a little bit, and something that we're pretty happy about as far as a new collaboration is with the city of Portland. And they're going to have an e-bike rebate program coming up soon, as far as starting this fall, but really launching next year, and we'll be going for 4 years, and they're going to be using our online course that we've developed, and we're adapting it to Portland. So we're helping doing that safety around the state. I see Bob Townsend's on the call, and we've been working with Bob and CET-CYC for a van pool, and worked out with them to increase the number of vans that we're currently doing up to 25. So that's fantastic. I know, James, you want more congestion, sarcastically, but we're trying to decrease it across the board. So that's something that's happening on our end as well. And Ben Bikes reached out to us too to high-five us about our work with the Old Mill and I keep wanting to call it Les Schwab, but Hayden Homes Amphitheater. We just wrapped up a challenge with them to try and mitigate some of that, huge load that gets put on the system during, Jack Johnson coming to town and things like that. So that's a new partnership from our end. I could go on, but I'll stop there. And my question about the the state highway funds is, I've noticed that they are significantly lower than they were in the past. And has the MPO policy board had discussion about prioritizing or what they want to do with those funds moving forward?
Specifically for the types of projects they're looking to fund? Is that what
Yeah, do they have any priorities that they are looking at right now? There's a lot of them that were awarded in the past, or development of infrastructure specifically in plans. I'm just curious if there's been any conversation.
I would say that's related to any changes that they made to the criteria. So,
Sure.
The application is criteria based, and we did review that with them, and they made some minor changes to that. But otherwise, not necessarily specifically. So it is, eligibility is pretty broad. So we haven't necessarily heard from them that they're looking for a certain type of project.
Understood. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Angie, do you have any updates from DLCD?
Hi, thank you. The only update I think that would be of interest to this group is maybe that our technical assistance grant window has recently opened. It's opened until October 10th, and it's primarily for local governments to pursue projects to comply with state law. But they focus, like the criteria for prioritization focuses on economic development, promotion of resiliency planning, resolving local planning needs, and updating comprehensive plans and inventories necessary to maintain those comprehensive plans. So it's sort of limited in scope, but if any of you have projects with our city or county partners or any other form of local government that might be qualifying, feel free to give me a call or send me an email, and I can send additional information over.
Thank you. Bob?
Just a couple things. I think most people have heard our COSC board approve reinstating fares effective in January. We our target was this fall, but we've had some other issues with some of our service provider or contracted service provider and being consistent on our route. So we don't want to charge fares until that's all done, but it'll be sometime after the first of the year, probably the second week, if anybody's put me on a date. And also related to that is our Bend fixed route and dial a ride in Bend is services provided by a private contractor. We're not extending their contract, so CET is actually going to be taking over all of those services effective by the first of the year too, which will be, most people won't know, other than hopefully a change in customer service and some of the other things that are important to us. We're also, time to be determined just based on, it's a lot of transition here about covering routes, hiring new drivers and things like that. But we'll probably be adding our Saturday Community Connector route to Redmond that doesn't exist now, as well as an airport direct run here right after the first of the year too. I don't have firm dates on those, but those will be coming as well. So a lot of exciting things, a lot of change here as well.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, if everybody has a minute, I can pull up that ODOT safety data. And I'll share this memo with everybody afterwards. So this table shows fatal and serious injuries by year. And if you look, from 2014 up through 2022, fatal crashes increased by almost 70% across Oregon. And I think that's concerning, right? But there's a huge spike in those serious injury crashes, and that increase, from 2014 to 2023, it's almost 150% increase across the state. I know the consultant team right now, they're trying to determine why the number of serious injuries has gone up so significantly, during that 21, 22, and 23 time frame. And I'll scroll down just a little further.
The initial dip down in 2020, but then it rockets up.
Yes, yeah.
Stress.
And then this table just shows, it compares ODOT's exist. They're looking at 2014 to 2018 versus 2019 to 2023. So looking at those two different 5-year windows. And if you look right in the center column there, that shows that the increase between those two different 5-year reporting periods. And so you can see, it's, there are significant increases in every single category, as you kind of scroll through this. So as you go down, even, school bus involved crashes increased during that time frame. So, just big increases kind of across the board. And the debate, I know that they're not the debate, but the discussion that's happening with this update then is with increases across all these different categories and with looking forward at limited funding, how do they prioritize resources? And that's a really tough discussion, but I think their advisory committee, they're narrowing down on a handful of like 4 to 5 areas specifically that they really want to target education outreach and some of their other funding over the next few years. James?
I'm just curious, as I look at these years, has anybody contemplated looking for a correlation between smartphone sales and distracted drivers due to that sort of thing? When you look at the years that we're talking about?
Yeah, that's a good question. They've tried. That's tough. I mean, I think the consensus from at least the safety consulting folks, down here scrolling towards it, distracted driving shows 116% increase. I think the people who are involved in safety think that is significantly underreported, because most crashes involving distracted driving, the person has to admit to it, and being able to get the data would require a lot of times a court order to access their phone records, that type of thing. And so that data is, they think, is significantly underreported. So between smartphone usage and then, the change in new vehicles, having a computer screen in there, there's a significant concern that there's a lot of distraction happening because it can require tapping down through 2 or 3 menus just to change the fan setting, for instance, in your car. And so there's a lot of concern that that's a big issue as well. And it's, the state, cities, counties, and states, they don't have a lot. That's all. It's a federal issue in terms of, regulating that type of thing. And what we're going to do about it, I don't know. But there's definitely a lot of discussion about that distraction and technology increasing pretty rapidly.
Gotcha. Thank you.
One more question too is, what's the difference in volume of mileage between two areas, from the two different 5-year?
Yeah,
I would imagine that'd be an increase quite a bit.
Actually, I think, don't quote me,
I got you.
but I think statewide, I think vehicle miles traveled, it started to decline and we held pretty steady for quite a few years. I think it started to just increase just in the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And so, we didn't see nationally, if you look at VMT, it's been on just a steady upward trajectory for the most part over the last, forever. I think Oregon peaked and either kind of held steady or declined a little bit and then just started to go back up. And I can find that data as well.
Wasn't there something about speed too, though? I think there might be something about speeds have increased.
Yeah.
And that can definitely have a big bearing on these issues as well.
So anyway, I thought it's alarming, but it's really good data, and you can see what's happening here. So any other questions on just the statewide safety data?
Is this similar to what we would be seeing here locally, or we don't know yet?
No, I think we are, in terms of that upward trajectory of fatal crashes, we are definitely not, that has not happened here. We have been almost steady for the last 5-6 years, I think. And I know that Councilor Mendez, he's our board chair, and he's very interested in this, and he has been downloading data from ODOT's website. I think so far this year, we haven't had a single fatality within at least city limits this year. So we've definitely bucked the trend in terms of at least fatal crashes, that we've not seen big increases like the state and that we've seen at the state level or nationally.
Right. Okay.
Sample size is pretty low to make any big conclusions about that over just a few years, though.
Yeah.
And Neil?
Hi, thanks. I just wanted to, I know that this is not our data set, but I know that decisions are made on, outreach approaches and different things based on this data. And the distracted driving number also concerns me. And I wonder if it should just be, we should internally reference it as self-reported distracted driving, just recognizing the opportunity for undercounting. And even areas where, everyone assumes that it's distracted driving, but it just doesn't get reported in data. So, and I'm just, with that being an area of safety interest, kind of in the background of people's minds, I wonder if there's a concentrated way to do maybe a certain kind of push for a certain sample to try to get better data, even if it's not for all crashes, just to dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's
just
good.
A general comment.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's good. Thank you.
Ken?
Yeah, I was going to add on to the conversation earlier that Tyler was having about our crashes more locally. And I think two of the trends that we are seeing, at least between updates and local plans, and some of our yearly SPIS data is that we're seeing increases in the alcohol and other drugs involved crashes. Right. So that's one primary crash area. That's something that the TAC has talked a lot about with their outreach as well. But there is some truth that a lot of our fatal and serious injuries have been somewhat flat since the COVID peak, right? So the reasons changing a little bit, speeding switched out for other reasons.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, the other thing I would say too, I was going to mention, just to clarify, when you look at the crash types on the left up there can be some of these crashes. I mean, there's multiple things happening in quite a few crashes. Yeah, and so it's like, alcohol and drugs and distracted driving and speeding, I mean, and so they've parsed it out by individual categories, but there's a tremendous amount of overlap across a lot of these categories as well. So, all right, any other questions on this?
I don't have a question, but I do find it surprising that unrestrained occupants. I feel like at this point, seatbelt just seems so habit.
Where is that on
Third one down.
Yeah.
from the bottom?
No, scroll up.
So it's the one that shows this 58% increase.
Yeah, I was very surprised by that. That was kind of like,
No.
I don't know,
Seems like second
this day and
nature.
age, you're kind of like, okay, so, and we're seeing that too. I think that's one, the consultant team pointed it out that particularly a lot of the run off the road like when somebody's driving off the road, particularly on a rural roadway, alcohol, speeding, and being unbelted is those three together is very, very common. So, I think that unbelted decision is happening. I mean, if you dug into it, I wouldn't be surprised if you were seeing other issues at play there. Somebody's intoxicated in some way and just didn't put on their belt, and then they crash, and they're either, they're ejected from the vehicle in that crash.
And there's also the fact that I think maybe younger people don't hook up rather than older people do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Might be.
Thanks, everyone. And with that, our next TAC meeting is October 7th. And as Andreas will be talking about the State Highway Fund applications. And unless there's anything else, I will adjourn the meeting. Thanks, everyone.